Hi, my name is Kenny, and I've been attending NorthernLife since I was 12 when my family first came to Australia. So that's been for around 15 or so years. But when I was around 18 after my HSC, when everybody was celebrating the end of their exams and going on schoolies, I had to return back to Singapore to serve in the military as part of my obligations to serve in conscription or in their national service. So I left for Singapore, and from the first day where I started foot in the military, there was always this sense of fear and this sense of that you have to obey anybody else who has a greater rank than you. And it's not just a sense, it's actual fact. If you chose not to obey, you could be punished in informal means, maybe by doing your commanders telling you to do silly things like running there and touch a tree, coming back and doing that for 10 times. Or it could even be see the pot of mud over there, you've got to roll in that mud like a pig, and you have to obey your commanders. If you don't, you will be charged for insubordination, which is the refusal to obey your superiors. And a result of that is you can be sent to the courts, or the court martial as the military calls it. And if you're found guilty of insubordination, you'll get sent to the detention barracks, which is the prison for military personnel. And the worst thing is that you will have a criminal record for the rest of your life next to your name if you were to be sent to the barracks. So one example of the need to obey in the military was when in the first couple of weeks when I was enlisted, I was very unfamiliar with the whole environment. It was such a big change from civilian life. And I got into trouble with my commanders because I was actually arguing with him over a really minor thing. And the thought of just arguing with a commander, no one does that in the military at all, and I just didn't know about that. To me, it was just a simple debate over a small matter, and perhaps voices and tones were raised, but it was over a very simple and silly thing, over wearing slippers in a common area. But because of my want to retort and argue, I was punished by having made to wear my formal uniform for one entire week when everybody else could be wearing their casual t-shirts and shorts. And I got off pretty lightly, I would say, for an act of insubordination, because my commanders were lenient. They knew that I came from a different country, I came from a different culture. Christian obedience is different from obedience in the military in the sense that in the military, you don't really have a choice. You have to obey, otherwise there'll be some human or some personnel right next to you, physically right next to you, and rebuking you, shouting at you, yelling at you, threatening you to send you to jail if you don't obey their orders. In Christianity, you do have a choice on whether or not you want to obey. There's no one next to you compelling you or coercing you to, or forcing you to obey. It comes down from your own heart that you choose and you want to obey what God has been teaching. So that's the end of my story, and thank you for listening.